Welcome, warriors and wanderers. We are breaking down the business world, exploring the world of gaming, and strategizing our way through new ideas and perspectives. This is the Red Katanas Podcast.
Yeah.
Hi, and welcome to the 6th episode of the Red Katanas Podcast. My name is AJ, and I am going to be your host. So, for today's podcast, I'm going to be throwing a little bit more of an informal style of things, and I'm going to calm down a little bit on the new segments and just roll with what we have. So we're going to be opening up with Guess That Quote. We'll get into the main topic. Essentially, it's going to be a personal anecdote and an explanation as to why I decided to take on as much as I do and why I wanted to continue to grow and change, and then look into the update of streaming, what I'm doing in the contracting world, publishing, podcast creation, etc. So we'll get into all of that. Then we'll move on to the mindset segment, 3 tips, and then finally the quote reveal. A little bit of a less structured approach, but with having a podcast being a new thing to me, I'm just going to be testing a few things and seeing what happens with it. Have a little bit of a new setup, a little bit of a different way that I'm recording this, have some new equipment, etc. So obviously your support is super important and greatly appreciated. So I wanted to let you guys know, please feel free to leave a review, subscribe to any of the major podcast platforms, my YouTube channel, and follow me on social media. You can find all of those at linktree/KingsWorkLive. And again, I'm always grateful for any and all support. So we're going to be getting into Guess That Quote segment. So this segment is going to be based around me choosing a quote and you figuring out who it is by. And at the end of the podcast, I'll reveal to you guys where I got that quote from and share a little bit of the significance behind the quote to me. So today's quote is going to be, the greatest investment you can make is in yourself. So figure out and let me know what you think and who you think that quote is from. So we're getting into the main segment. So let's get into the why I decided to start taking on more than I guess I've seen other people take on, if that makes any sense, and not as like a comparison to anybody else, more or less, just a comparison to who I was before and why I wanted to elevate what I was doing. So I would say probably the biggest driving factor is I have more or less a hierarchy of how I operate on a day-to-day basis for what I believe spiritually and religion wise, what I believe as far as family wise is concerned, what I believe work wise is concerned, and and this is just my own personal opinion and kind of how I operate things, is I base it off of me and my relationship to my creator. And again, if you don't believe in a higher power, etc., 100% your own prerogative. This is just kind of where I stand in my life and what I've bore witness to as far as the blessings that I've been able to receive as being a Christian and a member of the LDS, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints community, and the benefits that I've seen from that. So, yeah, so kind of based off of one, my relationship with my creator, the work that my creator, my heavenly father, has provided for me to do, and then the responsibility that I've taken upon myself to for my family, to be a man, to be a father. And that's kind of how I gauge a lot of different things. And so I know some people, and that's the priorities that I rank all of them as well. So my relationship with my creator, the work that he has for me, and then family. And that's my ranking of importance. And that's kind of where I'll get into the work side of it and why I want to continuously grow and why I want to continuously develop all the different skills and continue to get better. Because at the end of the day, I love quoting Gary Vee and all the different nuggets of wisdom that he ends up having. But he said that he'll walk up to everybody and be like, "Oh, how old are you? Oh, you're 24, 25 years old. Oh, you're still young. You're still young. You still are figuring out why you can literally or he'll talk to a 20-year-old. You can literally be doing the wrong thing for the next 10 years and still be young and still figure out where you're going in life." And so it's a really cool kind of perspective to have is, as of right now, I'm 27. I work in the federal acquisition world. I run contracts for the United States military. I manage them. I got connections to points of contacts and relationships with some different POCs across the world. I do a decent amount of traveling. I'm bouncing back and forth. So it's a huge blessing to be able to be in that world, but it has really given me a the opportunity to learn and grow at more or less an accelerated rate. It allows me to give myself a chance to kind of sprint forward in being mature. So being mature, like I have a 4 year old, I have a 3 year old, and both of them are extremely important to me in what I do. They don't necessarily affect how I do things, but they definitely are an influence over what I'm actively doing. And so, like I was talking to my little brother yesterday, is at the end of the day, I'm the oldest of five, and all my siblings are within 6 years of me. So my little sister is the only girl, and she is, I want to say, like 6 years younger than me, almost, maybe give or take about 20 days. And so I was talking to my little brother yesterday. His car broke down, and we were going back and forth on a situation that was happening, and he was asking me, he's like, okay, so well, are you just mean in general? Are you trying to be? Do you just not like certain people? And I'm like, no. At the end of the day, my responsibility, and I figured this out by being an older sibling, being in leadership positions, taking on responsibility, and then also being a father, is that if I truly care about somebody, my job, my goal, my direction that I point my efforts into is to long term benefit and long term success of the people that I care about. It's not necessarily about short term comfort. I don't have a huge amount of comfort habits that I do on a day to day basis. I wake up, I work out, I work, I get things done. I connect with family, connect with my loved ones, I connect with my children, and then that's essentially my day. I don't really vary a whole heck of a lot from that. I'm not super interested in finding a bunch of things that I just feel like doing. Everything that I end up doing is for a purpose. And so when I'm hanging out or when I have people that I care about and I get asked, why are you brash about specific things? And I'm like, if I care about you and I notice that you're doing something that's a little bit backwards, or I understand that you could be doing better with your life, it'd be a disservice to me because I would feel like crap for not telling you and expressing that I believe that you can be better. It would be a disservice to me because I would feel guilty for not making sure I express that. And then it would be a disservice to you because you would think that if I just blindly supported every dumb decision that you make for someone that I care about, it becomes a problem because then you have reinforcement to do something stupid. And so having that conversation with my brother was kind of interesting yesterday. It was cool because he again his front two tires got popped, had to go get them replaced. So after everything got taken care of, we figured it all out. We went and had a little bit of a late lunch, and him and I were playing chess and having a conversation. So that is kind of my go-to towards how I understand parenting. That's how I have my go-to as far as business is concerned. Like running any kind of company or being in any kind of a position of authority is not necessarily, it's about getting the job done, but also making sure you're bringing other people along with you. It's lifting where you stand. My dad is a really good proponent and a really good advocate and a good example of lifting where he stands, because everywhere he's at, he continuously makes it so, honestly, he continuously makes it so other people like him, but he continuously is elevating the people around him to be better. I've actively watched him get into situations where he has almost no idea what's going on, or he doesn't really have the refined skills to do something, but that almost never stops him from becoming either really, really good at something as far as a skill is concerned, or becoming a damn near expert at it in comparison to everyone else that's kind of lackadaisically moving through a process. He'll come in outwork everyone. He'll put in more hours than everybody, and he'll make sure that he raises everybody else along with him. And a lot of times, not with his children, he was a lot more direct with me as far as correction and understanding this is not what you should do, this is what you should do. But when he's operating in the business aspect, he has a lot of indirect influence by using his example of essentially he walks into a room, he shows the humility of he understands that he doesn't understand everything, but he still outworks everybody that it comes around. So it's a really cool thing as far as lifting where you stand. That's more or less his motto that he operates with. So that is kind of the basis of why I wanted to continuously grow and do more things. And so if I ever have any downtime, because for like military contracting, there's like some updates as far as military contracting. We have a big build here in the Utah area, and there are different contracts that I have to deal with all over the country and outside of the country that we got to mitigate, talk to people, schedule things, schedule vendors to be able to go out to places and be able to perform work, contact the government, making sure the government officials are satisfied and happy with what they're doing with, et cetera, and all the different paperwork that goes along with it. And so when all of that's getting done, once all the contracts are fulfilled, everything is based off a contract basis. So it's not necessarily you come in, you punch 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, and you get compensated for that. Or you, even if you don't get compensated for it, getting compensated regardless, after 10, 12 hours, the amount of benefit that you get off of pushing 12 hours into a specific thing ends up decreasing over time just because there's only so much that you can do to refine something before it becomes more beneficial for you to be able to move on to something else. And so that is kind of I talked about this in the last podcast where effectiveness equal or meets efficiency. There's that sweet spot that I've found that in specific things. Obviously everything kind of has its own sweet spot as far as effectiveness and efficiency, and that's kind of what I've found as far as contracting goes.
Let's talk business. If you're navigating the challenges of entrepreneurship or looking to take your business to the next level, you need the expertise of Kingswork. With over a decade of experience, Kingswork is your go-to consulting agency for strategic planning to execution. They've got the royal touch to make your business reign supreme. Visit kingswork.win and schedule your consultation today. Trust me, they're the kings of getting things done.
The not necessarily less busy because I'm always analyzing different things, making sure things are on the up and up as far as the contracting side of it goes. But in the other times where most people would sit around not doing anything, I I've never really been good at sitting around and not doing anything. I've actually never really been good. I probably had maybe a few months over the past 10 years where I've just beaten the crap out of every video game that I possibly can, and then I just get tired of it. I just get sick of it. And so streaming is a really interesting thing because it requires me to engage in video games in a different way. Because before, video games was just a nothing box. And I think esports and streaming has turned video games and interacting with different people and interacting with an audience into a completely different realm. And so I wanted to tap into that to kind of see what it's all about. I see that there's success in it, and I wanted to see if I could get some firsthand experience in understanding what are all the underlying and background principles as far as in the streaming and the video game world. Because video games are kind of fun. I'm decent enough at them. I'm not fantastic at them. My other little brother is extremely good at video games, but I wanted to get into that realm a little bit. So that is essentially the why of why I'm getting into all this. Obviously, I want to be able to build a legacy. I want to be able to build something that I can pass on to my children. I want to be able to pass on knowledge. I want to be able to pass on wisdom. I want to be able to pass on principles. I want to be able to pass on why I believe certain things are important and allow them to use that as a foundation to build off for their own life. And so I've been tapping into a bunch of different things. So I've been tapping into writing books. I wrote my first book back in 2021. If you want to look for it, it's AJAYE. That's how my mom decided to spell my first name. That's a whole story behind that. But and then it's Adolfo, Adolpho. If you go look that up on Amazon, you can find my first book. It's Get Out of Your Own Way, comma, damn it. I was a little bit more brash and a little more direct when I decided to publish that. So did that, and then in 8 days, my next book, Foundation Creation, is going to be coming out, and that's going to be coming out in softcover, and then a week later, it'll be coming out as an ebook format. And I already have a few people that were mentioning to me that they're wanting to get it and they wanted to get some signed copies. Don't have, I mean, I think I have 90 copies sold of my first book, so not a huge like New York Times bestseller author or anything like that, but definitely a cool experience to be able to get into that, understanding how authors have to get through writer's block, have to get through making sure that information that they have is relevant and connecting with an audience. And so I don't know. It's just a really cool way for me to be able to get into that sphere specifically. And then we have with streaming. Streaming's obviously pretty interesting. Finally got my entire system set up. Got my OBS system set up. If you're into streaming, I have the gaming console. I have PC. I have a whole different screen that I use. I have a new mic that I'm actually using right now. So I got a couple new things. This is actually just my headset that I have my mic on it for just playing games and interacting with people. And then I have another mic that I'm using that actually is a really decent mic. I just got it from Walmart. It's a decent mic that I use for having my voice brought across on the stream itself. So again, all those things is to more or less experience all the back end principles of it. I'm not 100% sure how much longer I'll do all of these things for. I want to make sure that I get the full breadth of experience. I want to say that I'll more than likely do this for at least a year, just so that way I get the experience of one. I want to be able to run a podcast when I'm overseas too. So next month, in about actually almost exactly a month, I'll be traveling over to Japan and to Guam and more. And I want to be able to sit down with some of the different people that I interact with over there to see what their mindset is. Over in Japan, I have my dad's good friend, and I become really good friends with him. He's a great guy, and he helps us with some of the projects out in Japan. And it'll be really cool to sit down with him. I'm assuming he'd be more than happy to do this. He's a really cool guy to talk to and hang out with and work with. Super hard worker, very knowledgeable, and it'll just be interesting to be able to bring the podcast international. Even though I have, at the moment, almost nobody that listens to it. I think I listen to my own podcast, which is a fun and humbling thing to do because I'll randomly think about it and be like, why? That's weird. I have nobody watching my stream. I have nobody listening to the podcast, and I'm still doing it. I don't know if there's some semblance of uh, insanity to that, but at the end of the day, if you're insane enough to think that you can be successful, you are going to be one of the people that are qualified to end up being successful. So that's not an exact quote. That's more of just like a principle that I live by. So that is that as far as streaming goes, and that's kind of everything that I'm getting into at the moment. So I got books, I got streaming, got running the like helping or doing the podcast and getting this up and running and being able to understand how to get my podcast into different platforms and all the different systems that go into it and what an RSS feed is and all the different connection pieces and how awesome having the internet is to you. There's so many different great tools that I use, and I'll a lot of times I 99% of the time I have a phone number that I use that I don't have to pay for. I have a business email that I use that is integrated into a lot of different things that I don't have to pay for. And so there's a lot of ways to effectively operate a business and create ideas at an affordable way to do it is understanding how to use the internet, understanding how to use resources. And so that's actually another big thing that being in the acquisition world has gotten me into is being relentlessly resourceful and not allowing random roadblocks to just be like, couldn't find it here. One person said this one site could do it, didn't find it, needed to move on to something else. So that is kind of the update across the board for everything. I probably will do an update maybe every once a month. Maybe do it once every 4 episodes or so, just to kind of keep a track record of everything that I'm doing. But I'll make that executive decision a little bit later. So
For all the gamers and fitness enthusiasts out there, have you heard about W.GG? It's not just a pre-workout, it's a lifestyle. Whether you're leveling up in the gym or gearing up for an intense gaming session, W.GG has got your back. With their unique blend of energy-boosting ingredients, it's the secret weapon to help you crush your goals. And guess what? They've got some killer merch as well. Check out their website for some seriously cool gear that screams victory. Use discount code KINGSWORK at checkout for an exclusive 10% discount.
Let's move on to the mindset segment. So I love this segment because mindset is actually one of the biggest tools that people use in being successful. So success isn't about achieving goals, it's about a state of mind, a way of thinking and approaching life. It starts with belief starts with belief, believing in yourself, your abilities, and your potential. With a success mindset, challenges become opportunities for growth, setbacks become stepping stones, and failures become lessons. Cultivating resilience is key. It's about bouncing back stronger and wiser each time. Embracing a growth mindset means seeing failures not as a reflection of your abilities, but as a temporary setback on the path to success. Success isn't always linear. It's a journey filled with twists, turns, and unexpected detours. Flexibility and adaptability are essential. Being open to new ideas and willing to pivot when necessary can lead to breakthroughs. Surrounding yourself with positivity and inspiration can fuel your success journey. The company you keep matters. Seek out mentors, role models, and supportive communities that uplift and empower you. Remember, success is a mindset. It's not just about what you achieve, but it's about who you become in the process. So, dare to dream big, take bold action, and embrace the journey with courage and conviction. With the right mindset, success becomes not just a destination, but a way of life. And so that's what I love about the quote from what we did on the last segment, where sometimes the only payoff is when you get tested again and again and again every day. And that at the end of the day, that's actually a really good payoff when it builds your resiliency. It builds you into somebody more. So, moving into the three tips segment, where in this segment, we're going to share three actionable tips optimizing your streaming presence on platforms like Twitch TV, Kick, and YouTube, leveraging essential business success principles and practical steps for getting started in entrepreneurship. So these are just cool things that I've discovered personally. I've been able to do a decent amount of research into all these different things, especially with streaming being all that research is kind of fresh. So with streaming, the tip for this podcast is going to be promote yourself on social media. Utilize social media platforms to promote your streaming channel, share your highlights, updates, and behind the scenes content on platforms like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. Engaging with your potential viewers on multiple channels increases your visibility and attracts a broader audience for your gaming content. And so it's just an update as far as all these different social medias that I've found. I've found that Instagram is the hardest to just kind of get started and kind of get that growth curve. TikTok is pretty average. It ebbs and flows depending on what kind of content you're pushing out there. I have two different TikTok accounts and two different Instagram accounts that I'm managing, and then I have one YouTube account. YouTube gets an insane amount of views just because everyone loves YouTube Shorts. So I think Instagram has a great potential, and I'm going to continue doing everything on all of those. So if you want to go to Kingswork Live on TikTok or Instagram, or the Work of Kings on YouTube, and then you can check out my content there. So, second tip is getting into business. The tip for that is embrace failure as a learning opportunity, like we just talked about. Understand that setbacks and failures are part of the entrepreneurial journey instead of seeing them as roadblocks. View them as opportunities to learn and grow. Analyze what went wrong, adapt your approach, and apply the lessons learned to future endeavors. Resilience in the face of failure is a key trait of successful entrepreneurs. Successful entrepreneurs, kind of fumbling over my words a little bit, but at the end of the day, people tend to be afraid of failing. They tend to be afraid of thinking that they look dumb while attempting the bold, which is true. They typically do look dumb while doing that. But getting over that fear of looking dumb will make it so that at the end of the day, you are going to be the person that people come to for advice and help because you end up becoming an expert because you failed more. And that's all an expert is. So, tip number three is going to be for exploring new ways to start making side money. And this tip is going to be offer online courses or tutoring. If you have an expertise in a particular subject or skill, consider creating and selling online courses or offering tutoring services. Platforms like Udemy or Skillshare allow you to teach a global audience, and there's a demand for learning across various topics. Sharing your knowledge can be a rewarding way to make side money and make money while you're doing something that you are passionate about. So obviously I do that already. I have it's called Wi-Fi University, Wi-Fi Academy if you go to kingswork.pro. So that is something that I'm also tapping into. That's also one of the things I should have covered in my main segment. But one of the things that I kind of want to touch on just from that tip is I highly recommend figuring out and understanding how to learn. Figure out how you learn, how you retain information, and get really good at learning because it makes a lot of things in life a lot easier. So, to close out the podcast, we have the reveal for the quote. And the quote was, "The greatest investment you can make is in yourself." And that is a quote affectionately by Warren Buffett. And he said that on many different occasions, on many different interviews that I've seen from him, and many different books that he's written. So, and I believe that it's important for us to remember that people are still the greatest asset to this world and the greatest asset the world has to offer, and we only have control over our actions and our attitudes. Knowing this allows us to refine the one person we can influence the most and create lasting change to the people that we come around. So invest in yourself. It's the most rewarding thing that you can do. And if you have, again, I base things off people that I care about. If you have anybody that you care about, you investing in yourself is the greatest thing that you can give them, as somebody to look up to, an example, and then someone they can rely on because you've invested so much in yourself. So, once again, thank you for joining me on another episode of the Red Katanas podcast. And as always, much love, own your life, and God bless.